Welcome, everybody, to another edition of CPG Insiders. I'm your host, Mark Young, with my co-host, Sidekick. So, folks, we're going to have a conversation today about packaging. And we have Scott Fuselier. Did I get that right?
Very nice, Mark. Thank you.
Okay, and Matt Jones. They are with a company called Buckeye Corrugated, or I think oftentimes known as BCI. When we were off air, we were talking about a client of ours who is going to be doing what we call an in and out for Christmas. Instead of the retailer having to find shelf space for Christmas, we'll create a temporary power wing. And how is that done? And how is all this stuff managed? So, Scott, Matt, welcome to CPG Insiders. Why don't you tell people a little bit about yourselves and about BCI?
Well, hello, guys. Thanks for having us on. I'm Scott Fuselier. I'm the Vice President of Enterprise Sales for BCI. We are and Matt Jones, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, Matt Jones. I'm the sales manager for our Houston plant.
BCI is almost a 70-year-old company, founded in 1958 out of Worcester, Ohio. And the growth of the company has been through acquisitions over the last 70 years. And as of 6 months ago, we had 11 manufacturing plants, majority up in the Northeast, Southeast, Midwest. And we had a number of clients asking us to get out west. And so we have our first greenfield operation that is effectively January 1 of this year, manufacturing in Reno, Nevada. Which is a very exciting time for us because we did have clients, as I said, and it gets us into California, also gets us in, to Nevada, great market up there in Reno. Buckeye goes to market, the way our philosophy is, it's not a box, a container, or a package. We think of it as an introduction to your brand. So we help our clients retail their product in the retail space, and we try to work with them to figure out the best solution, be it a simple power wing or a quarter pallet, half pallet, and we can talk more about that as we go on.
Right. When we think of those palletized displays, folks, think about, is your product right for Costco? Mm-hmm. You guys probably do a ton of Costco stuff, I'm going to assume.
We do.
And Sam's Club.
We do. We've had some really good growth over the last, in the last 5-10 years have been significant growth, and we're continuing to grow. We're a privately held company. Actually, we're an employee-owned company, and upwards of probably 900 employees now throughout the 12 divisions.
Wow.
Yeah, and each division has its own designer, design studio, graphics, pre-press. Everybody works independently, if you will, but at the same time, we work together as an enterprise. So, we look at it from East Coast to West Coast on how we can service the customer. I mean, part of our reason of going out west, it gave us an opportunity to, it's closer proximity, faster delivery to West Coast customers. We lower the freight costs, reducing damage from long haul shipping. As we know, West Coast is a tremendous market, so it really has opened up some new doors for us.
Now, let me ask you guys a question. Let's say that I want to do a PDQ display or a power wing or something. You guys can make that unit. Do you also pick and pack and fulfill that unit and package it so it's store ready?
We do. There's a number of different ways. We obviously can just ship the unit KDF to our customer, knock down flat, where we would provide assembly instructions either through a video, a QR code that you could scan, allow the customer to assemble that. We also have embedded in a handful of our facilities fulfillment operations. For example, here in Houston, we have 75,000 to 100,000 square feet strictly dedicated for fulfillment. So we do get customer product brought into our facility. Everything from ideation to manufacturing to fulfillment, we can handle the whole gamut for you. So customer sends in product, we'll manage it. If it's of high value, we lock it. We have a lock and storage key under the lock, and then ship to the retailer. So all of our designers are well versed in retailer specs from big box club stores, grocery, C-stores, and we manage the distro list from there and can ship. Right now, we're doing a big program for a energy drink. I think there's 400 ship to locations on that distro list that we handle everything for them. So they send that to us and we manage it from there.
They would ship pallets of the product right to you. You guys would print, assemble, build the pallet, the palletized display, load the palletized display, and you guys would ship it to all the locations.
That's right.
This is part of what we talk about on this show all the time is who, not how.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not knowing how to do everything. It's knowing who can do everything. And this is the reason these guys are on the show today, because these guys are a powerful who for your brand.
Absolutely.
These guys are a great who for your brand. And it makes more sense. And I want people to listen to me. I know it is tempting to say, let's get these things shipped to us, knocked down, and we'll have all of our own people assemble this stuff and put it down, and we're going to save a few dollars on each pallet by building it ourselves. No, you're not. You're not going to save any money trying to do this yourself.
You're going to cost yourself a whole lot more money in mistakes.
And you can't do it as fast, and you can't do it as efficient. So walk us through the process. So let's use this client as an example. Walk us through the timeline. When do they need to be making what and making what decisions in order to be ready?
Well, we start with an idea, right? They have we need to learn where the end user is. We need to know the environment where the retail, where this display is going to be retail, which then allows us to understand the dynamic of the rules and regulations, because each store has different requirements and what can and cannot go into the store. And we have to understand that. We educate our clients on that who may or may not know. So we tell them, hey, we can do a quarter pallet, but it has to be within these parameters to fit within that store shelf.
Mm-hmm.
The idea can either come from an agency. They may have some different ideas. Sometimes you get an agency that comes up with some elaborate ideas that quite aren't manufacturing ready, if you will.
We know the difference between an architect and the contractor, right?
So we're managing from ideation. So that can be from an agency, or it comes from the client saying, I want to retail this energy drink needs to get into this retail environment, and I want to display 10 cases on a unit, or 5 cases. We help them come up with the different design. We make sure that it's structurally sound. So we start with just a simple white sample or a rendering. A lot of times what we'll do is we'll come up with sketches. We have artists in-house here at all of our divisions, and they'll come up with just a rendering of sorts. Sometimes it's just a pencil sketch, and we come up with a number of different ideas that we present to them and say, hey, and sometimes you take A and the B version and you combine it. After we land on that, we come up with a corrugated sample, a white sample. Either take some pictures, send it directly to the client, have them approve it. Yes, this is what I want. We need to add some more. We want to do something else, whatever the case may be. From there, either they have their agency that comes up, or their internal marketing team that would place the artwork onto each corrugated panel.
Mm-hmm.
And we then at that point either make some changes internally through pre-press that, hey, we need to make some modifications to the artwork. Usually that's not the case, but sometimes when we're doing direct print, we have a 7-color press plus a UV down here in our Houston division. So sometimes there's some limitations that require us to do some trappings that you wouldn't necessarily have to do with an offset printing, but it does do litho quality work. We go back and forth with the proofing stage, if you will, and then we go to execution, and that is ordering cutting dies for the tooling to create the design of the display. We order print plates, we order litho, depending on how the artwork is. So we then get all that product in, we manufacture. If it's 1,000, 500, 10,000, whatever the quantity is that's required, we manufacture here. Use this facility we're in today, which is Houston, almost a 300,000 square foot facility. We do all the manufacturing internally. Sometimes we'll then ship that product, as I mentioned earlier, directly to the customer, knock down flat, they assemble, or then we take it from there and we do, as I mentioned earlier, where they might send in product, we assemble, we place the product in the display and ship out to the retailer.
So when you're looking at like a Costco, Sam's Club, BJ's, is that one design for everything, or are those stores different?
Well, from a club store, they're pretty uniform in what they're looking for. It's pretty, it's stackable trays a lot of times in the Costco and the Sam's piece. You really don't see a floor display, if you will. It's mostly stackable trays, which is, and it might have some other components to it to kind of give it a little more life, if you will. You get a little bit more intricate when you're getting into the grocery store. That allows you to have some lug-ons and headers and other intricate pieces that go with it, along with the and then of course in the C stores you get into some other pieces. So it all varies on where the end user is, or the end retail space.
Is it reasonable from a vendor standpoint that I probably have one set of displays for my club stores, I have one set of displays for my food stores, I have another set of displays for my drug? Is it fair to say drugstores are going to be fairly similar, groceries going to be similar?
Yes. For the most part, yes. I mean, because you're limited on the space that you have in there. So obviously in a C store and a drugstore, much smaller footprint, power wings in a C store, or rather in a drugstore. Whereas obviously in a grocery store, you get a little bit larger. You might be able to have a floor display, a base tray riser with the product sitting in there that is right on the end of a grocery aisle. Where you go into a grocery or a club store, obviously it gets bigger and bigger as we get into the larger environments.
So how do we handle some of the shipping on this stuff? Because I'm assuming if I send you the product, you guys are going to figure out how to maximize those interpacks and maximize those displays and try to reduce this thing down to having the least weight and fitting on the shelf.
That's right, Mark. So there's what we also need to learn during this process as we're doing the planning of the execution of the display is how's it going to ship? Is it going to go on a pallet? Is it going to be simply stacking 20 displays on a pallet directly to the store? Typically, if it's going to go ground, UPS or FedEx, what we do is we also, during this process, we'll do test shipments. So we'll do our own internal test shipments, ISTA testing, to make sure that the product, we'll simply put it on the back of our truck and drive it around Houston roads for a few days, bring it back. And that's a good test to see how the product,
bring that thing to Metro Detroit and drive it around here for a while. If it can survive the Michigan potholes, you guys have it down.
So that's one way. We also do test shipments. So we'll send it to UPS. We'll put a UPS label on it, send it to one of our locations up in the Northeast. They'll send it back to us. So we'll see how the product travels to make sure that most importantly, the customer's product's not damaged. Mm-hmm. But secondly, how does that corrugated display hold up? So when it gets to the store, we want the employee at the store to simply be able to open that brown box, the outer shipper, take that display out, and it's simply just assemble it or put it up or attach a header. When the product's already in it, typically it's already fully erected. We need to make it as easy as possible. We understand that the workers in these stores are not going to take the care and the time to make sure everything is put together in the right aspect that it should be. So we are very cognizant of that challenge, if you will.
Yeah, and let's be honest, folks. Okay, I'm not picking on any chain or any worker, but the people that are working in retail, racking the shelves, are people that are modestly paid, and people are really excited about their job, cutting cardboard boxes open and putting stuff on shelves.
No.
So to put it plain, it needs to be as idiot proof as possible. It needs to be as plug and play as humanly possible.
That's right. And that's how we, that's how we go to market. And honestly, and that's, we take that pain away from our clients, so they don't have that anxiety of knowing, is this display going to be what I'm like, there's a lot of investment from tooling and everything else that goes into it. And it's, as I started with, I mean, it's an introduction to your brand. You only get one chance to really get out there and show the consumer how well your product is. And if the display is not performing as it should, or if it's busted on a corner, and it's not a good look for anybody. So we make sure that it's going to arrive in one piece and it's going to retail like it's supposed to.
Yeah, it's very frustrating when you think about it, because you as a manufacturer, as a vendor, you've put all this money out, you're making all these shippers, you're fronting all this product to go out to the retailer, and you need to get into be what it was intended to be.
Yeah.
Now you guys have digital print capabilities, and is that on the display stuff, or is that literally on packaging for the products themselves, or on both?
We have a digital press up in our Worcester, Ohio facility. It comes in handy for your sometimes startup brands. They don't need to go invest in tooling. If it's, hey, I want to go try this for 100 stores or 250, that's where digital really comes in handy. There's no upfront cost. There's everything is high speed. It's digitally printed. We have high speed CAD tables that'll cut the product for you. And so there's no tooling cost, if you will, if you're trying to understand how the market works. So that's where digital comes in handy. But we do displays, boxes, two-sided print. If they gives you an opportunity to be flexible. Sometimes if you might have a regional product, you might have something up in the Northeast that is college related, where they want to showcase their local school. At the same time, that same display could be out on the West Coast, but we tailor it more for the West Coast college, if you will, or Midwest, whatever that case may be. So you're able to be more flexible with digital without having to invest in a production run of something that's just stagnant with the same artwork.
And I actually have a great example right now of a customer where we're doing both a digital piece of it and producing it with a little label piece on it. So it's a customer that's in the retail space in the grocery stores, and they're marketing for the World Cup. They don't have the official license, but they're doing a soccer theme. And some of the parts of that piece, they don't need a large run of it. So that allows us, as Scott mentioned, the flexibility on the digital press to run it that way. And then the displays that are running at higher quantities, we're running through with a litho label and running those displays in the Houston plant. But we utilize our Worcester plant to bring it all together. So that's kind of that enterprise that we leverage at BCI.
We've talked about this on the show before, the now encroaching extended packaging regulations. We have 6 states or 8 states that now have that in place?
Yeah, I think it's up to 7 now.
Yeah.
And more to come.
Yes.
So How are you guys helping your clients navigate that, to put it plain, mess?
Well, one of the ways is corrugated packaging is widely recycled in the U.S. and it's commonly referred to as the most sustainable material, right, from a standpoint. So we already got that advantage from, it falls within the EPR strategies, right? One of the other things we're doing is EPR looks at life cycle thinking. And so we look at, with our design team, is how we can improve the life cycle of what's going in the box and the products. I got a great example of a nutraceutical company where they were using a lot of plastic along with a corrugated shipper to protect the product, and air pillows, bubble wrap, and stuff like that. And it was a significant amount of plastic. Through our design team, we went in and looked at that and created corrugated bracing things inside the box that allowed us to eliminate all the plastic from their shippers. This was across 6 shippers, and all of them had a ton of plastic in it. We were able to take that out of there and only go to corrugated solution and then paper dunnage for some of the things that we needed to do. So that's one of those things from a life cycle, looking at ERP. But we have to look at everything in that design, recycling, efficient corrugated packaging to comply with the EPR.
We're responsible for this packaging going forward. So there's a lot of ways then that you can work with a client and figure out how to reduce, because like California measures how much weight you're sending into the state. So you guys are able to change the weight of what's coming into the state and then change the materials that are going into the state and greatly reduce that future responsibility, if that makes sense.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we see corrugated not just an alternative to plastic, but as a strategic advantage for manufacturing the next generation of packaging responsibility. And so we look at that as, another example, Matt, that I can think of is that e-bike that we did. There was an e-bike that we did, e-bikes are this particular one's about $5,000, and they had a ton of plastic inside of it. And we took all, with the exception of one plastic piece, we had to keep it in there. Everything else went from plastic to corrugated. And it was a significant reduction in cost. I think it was a couple $100 in plastic that they were using inside this package, and we removed that. And I think we got the cost down just on the corrugated components down to $25-$30. So significant cost savings, and you're with the EPR requirements, you're at a strategic advantage now.
EPR is all about sustainability, and right, that's the biggest thing. So what are you seeing is what is sustainability now as it relates to packaging in our current world, and also where do you kind of see it going?
It's certainly on the front of everybody's mind, sustainability. I will say, I kind of say this, I've never met a customer who's willing to pay more for sustainable options. That's one of the challenges we're trying to figure out. Now, in our space, again, in corrugated, we have the advantage of, curbside recycling. It comes from paper. We're FSC certified, those are the kind of things that we focus on, and it gives us an advantage compared to other packaging components. Many of the other packaging components are fighting an uphill battle, let's say. I mean, one of them you think about, we talk about states. It was a few years ago, New Jersey banned packing peanuts, which many are following, right? Because it's just an old technology. But that's one of those things. And you always hate, I see you, Mark, kind of shake your head. It's when that box shows up with those packing peanuts, it's just a complete disaster.
Oh, it's best to clean up.
Yeah. And some other things, though, speaking of EPR real quick, cold chain, we're looking at opportunities to get rid of the EPS cooler, which is that kind of standard cooler with the thing. So we're looking at more ways, cellulose and other ways like that. We're working with partners in the cold chain applications to drive that sustainability. But again, we have to do it at a cost that's less than, or at least equal to what it is today.
And that cellulose is curbside recyclable.
Sustainability sounds nice until sometimes you see the price tag and clients like, how do you think brands and clients should actually be thinking about sustainability? What perspective should they have, especially with where the world seems to be going?
Yeah, you certainly have to look at it and say, how can we drive sustainability and make sure that we're doing the right things for the future? So, I'll give you another example where we're driving sustainability. And what we look at is a customer that we were long haul shipping, an automotive customer. And we looked at the truck and looking at, Scott had mentioned, we have CAPE program that allows us to see how the truck's packed out. Well, just changing to a custom pallet to change the footprint allowed us to put 30% more into that truck. So we were helping the customer gain a win that way. And they were very happy with that because not only is it efficient for them in their operations, it's a sustainable solution because you're getting more in that truck as you're hauling it over the road. And they were very pleased. It also helped reduce damage because damage is another thing. You asked about what companies should be thinking about. Damage is another thing they have to look at. And we help through that also. The e-bike example is a great one. We made that change and we did not see any increase in the damage of the shipments with all those reductions. Damage is one of those stats. I don't have the stats in front of me, but damaged product arriving to a customer is a very big carbon footprint because that product either has to be thrown away or, and reshipped, right? Or shipped back. I mean, there's multiple things that are working that way. Yeah. So those are a few items, they can be thinking about to drive that sustainability.
And then also e-commerce, we look at e-commerce, we have a dedicated two-sided taper. So you're building an e-commerce box, DTC, direct to consumer. Sometimes we love putting inside print on there so they get that wow factor when they get the product on their doorstep. They open it up and it's sometimes a very expensive purse. And on the outside, it's simply, there's no artwork. Inside, it's that wow factor. You open it up. These shoes or the purse doesn't work. You simply just tear it off and there's another piece of double-sided tape on there. They can simply just return it. So you're using that box twice. You're not having to go get another box to ship it back to the retailer.
Well, it also sounds like you guys can really help our clients in some cases if they want to create an unboxing experience.
That's right. Oh yeah, absolutely. We
with some of the more expensive products.
Yes. We as again, it's an introduction to your brand, and we want that wow. We call it the wow factor. You bought a very expensive purse, shoes, or whatever it is. It doesn't need to be. You can simply just do some simple artwork. You don't need to go 5 and 6 colors and be extravagant on the inside, but it can be a 1 or 2 color, simple. Thanks for buying my product, and a website and some other marketing slogans put on the inside of the package. It's a really good tool for brands to get out there.
Sometimes when we're talking to clients, I don't think that they fully understand what I will say the impact of packaging has on not only their brand, their business, and their customer, right? They don't really consider it as much. They don't go in depth into how big of a decision and all the things that go into the decision when you're talking about your packaging and how important it really is. And so I'm just curious, in your mind, I know it's a big question, but if you're sitting across the desk from, one of our clients or one of your clients, right? How would you explain to them the impact that packaging is going to have on every aspect of your brand, business, and customer?
And do you have any examples you could share with us where product A was on the shelf, repackaging, and the package in isolation had X impact on their business?
So one thing I think about is you buy an iPhone, let's say, and you have that box that comes with it. It's actually hard to throw away that box that the iPhone comes in, because it's such a beautiful piece of packaging.
It is.
Yes.
That's how we approach things, is how can we make it so that the consumer gets that box and doesn't want to throw it away. There's one example of an expensive handbag manufacturer that we help produce, and we have a beautiful box for the handbag that comes in. And the outside, it's discreet, as Scott had mentioned. And then the inside, it's got a label on the inside with, beautiful graphics that allow for that unboxing experience. And someone's paying that much for a handbag, they want that experience. And then again, it's another one of those boxes people want to hang on to and put on display because of the wow factor to it. I'll even add one more to it when I say the wow factor. One of the things we pride ourselves on is making sure we're driving that factor for the customers. If you ever get a chance to come tour a plant, and we welcome anybody to tour the plant, we have a room that's called the Wow Room. And it has all our different products on display, to the different processes we use to market and show people how we can drive and make their brand great. That's in the Wow Room, and that's why we call it the Wow Room.
Where are those at?
The Wow Room?
Yeah.
It's right here in the plant. We tour the plant with the customers, and if we finish the tour, we take them into the Wow Room and show them everything that's on display there. It's set up like a retail environment.
It would be worth people going there.
Absolutely.
To see this. And
we thrive on customers coming down here. We feel like if they come see the operation and how we operate with our design and graphics and meet the team, project managers, we help these brands come to life. And I think that, when we get an opportunity to work with a client, especially a complex program, we put project management on them and we make their lives easy. Justin, just to go back to one stat that we have here, and I think this is important because, we can make that wow factor and it looks pretty and all that good stuff. But the most important piece is getting the product to the customer in a safely. 73% of consumers have returned an item due to damage. That's an internal stat that we have. 80% of e-commerce returns are tied to damage or defects. And e-commerce return rates average 20 to 30%, nearly double brick and mortar. So we have to make sure that product is getting to the client, to the end user, and safe.
Mm-hmm. Well, and some of the things you brought up earlier, right? To add on to those statistics, what's the cost of those statistics, right?
That's
So
right.
now you've got damages now you've got product that you just lost. You just lost a customer. I mean, they may not order again because they just went through that experience, right? Now you've got the cost of potentially them shipping it back, which are you going to eat that? If you're trying to do customer service, you might. It's not just about the fact that, hey, I just made a bad experience for a customer and lost a customer, which is damaging, but the cost to your business and to your brand, if you're not thinking about the entire the entire life cycle of that package from start to finish. It will destroy you. It can. I mean, we haven't even talked about retailers, right? Ship a bunch of stuff to a retailer and have it come back damaged.
Yeah.
You want to know about costs?
That's significant. That's right.
Well,
That's right.
I'm going to tell you right now, if you start shipping products to Walmart and the next 3 shipments in a row come in 8% damaged or 10% damaged, truck after truck after truck, you're not going to be at Walmart anymore.
No, you're going to be on the wall of shame.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're because Walmart doesn't need you that bad. They don't need anybody that bad. What have you witnessed in increased sales just due to package changes?
I think that when we talk about displays, right, and some of the customers that we've grown with in the energy space, that marketing with the displays and how they do that has really driven the revenue. One of the ones that we started with, they were not one of the big brands in the energy space, but they've grown along with that and then, been acquired by another bigger company. And I think that marketing through the right displays and the artwork that they choose and the partnerships that they choose that allow them, really that social media impact is one part of it too, right? You get that out there and drive. That's where I think we've seen a nice growth in sales by using the marketing techniques and working together with their graphics team and our graphics team and driving that wow factor from a marketing standpoint.
When we look at these packaging issues, getting products shipped that aren't damaged, meeting the extended packaging requirements of these states, you have 2 options in front of you. Always be chasing it from behind because I'm trying to figure out how do I solve the next problem. Or you can get out ahead of this and turn your packaging capabilities into a feature.
That's right.
That the retailers will now embrace you. Because if Walmart is coming back to you and asking you for your sustainability plan, or coming back to you and asking you what you're doing in EPR, or how are you dealing with California, you're already behind the 8 ball because they're having to come to you for this information. Versus you be expert at it, use people like this, get out in front of it, and make this part of your presentation when you're meeting with your retailers. Get it right out there. We've already solved these problems. Let us show you how we're solving these problems right now.
Right. One of our large clients in the energy space requests a carbon footprint for every display that we send out. So we provide that. Even from a life cycle assessment, there's an LCA program that we can also provide of how the package comes from point A to point B and what that material coming in, the raw material of sheets coming into us, and then if there's litho, and we can put all those different parameters into a program that spits out a nice sheet, if you will, or an Excel document that tells the end user, the client, what that life cycle assessment is. So sometimes we provide that as well.
And brands need to stop looking at it like a cost, because now it's just part of the game. You have to do it now. There's no way around it. So,
yeah, and the brands that are out in front are going to be the brands that are going to be more desirable by the big retailers.
100%. They've been doing their best to get out in front of it, to not only find a way to execute it effectively, finding creative ways to say, hey, you're at about the same cost or not the same cost, and you're sustainable now, which is not only keeping you in play and doing the things like Mark, like you're talking about. When you think about where EPR is going, long term, you're reducing your cost.
That's right.
So it actually is a cost reduction move now at this point. It's not about increasing cost at all.
These guys are what we refer to as a super who. And a super who means you have a who for your how, who has massive capabilities and resources that can solve a lot of problems, not just one problem. They can solve weight, they can solve display, they can solve different distributions, they vary in the printing from region to region. So guys, tell our audience how to interact with you. What's the best way for them to get started working with you guys in BCI?
Sure. Simply go to our website, bcipkg.com, and on that page you'll find a contact us page, and it'll I would select either the corporate office or the Houston division. I would select the Houston division simply because Matt's runs the sales out of this facility, and then you can just simply contact us there, and Matt will get an email, and we'll reach out to you. Probably the easiest way to find us.
Guys, this has been super helpful. Is there any last things you would like our audience to know about you guys before we wrap up?
No, this has been a great conversation this morning, Mark and Justin. We appreciate it. I think that, one takeaway that I would just leave with the, we help our clients. We're the experts. We know what to do. We make your life easy. Give us your challenge and we'll take care of it. We know the retail space very well, and we can help you grow your brand and get it out there for the consumer to the expectations that they expect. We'll provide that.
Super. Guys, I appreciate you being with us.
I just appreciate your guys' time. This has been a great conversation.
This is great. And folks, I can tell you that we're going to be sending clients over to BCI. So
absolutely,
you should be listening to these guys. Everybody, if you enjoyed today's show, please make sure you go to wherever you get your podcast, leave us a 5-star review. If you're not following the show, hit the little subscribe button that you see there. So if you go to where you get your podcast, you can get a transcript of the show. You can get the URLs and the contact information for BCI. I want to remind everybody, 27 unbreakable rules of retail, how to build $100 million plus CPG business is available. You can go to Amazon to get your copy. And the book did come out, 2 weeks ago, Justin? The book hit #1 on Amazon, and I'm very grateful for everybody who listens who went out and bought the book. We thank you for that. And now maybe there's a 28th rule. These guys might have just become the 28th rule of the 27 rules.
So
I might have to go back and rewrite the book now. That's it. That's it for today, folks. We'll see you on the next episode of CPG Insiders. If you're looking to greatly increase sales on your CPG product, don't hesitate to contact us at Jekyll & Hyde Advertising and Marketing. By the way, the only advertising agency with a guaranteed result. Just go to jekyllhydeagency.com or feel free to give us a call at 800-500-4210.